right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the edition of Deeper Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. How's everyone doing tonight? This is actually being shot on Christmas Day. A bit of a Christmas special, I suppose. Merry Christmas to everyone out there who celebrates. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I gotta get into what am I smoking, what am I drinking. So first, the cigar. Usually I do show it before now. So this is traditionally the cigars I smoke. It's like a 5x50, I think, or I think it's 5x50. Well, when you order stuff from sampler packs, sometimes you end up with something a little bit bigger. So I think this is an 8x90. Kind of show you the difference between the two different cigars. I am not a fan of smoking huge cigars, but I am not unfamiliar with it. This one's pretty good. Now, it's very common to have some burn issues when you first light it up. You can have draw issues, but I think I did this one right. Not a lot of burn issues on there. I went with a punch. That way it kind of funnels all the smoke. Sometimes just doing a straight cut, you end up sucking a lot of air in and around. So you ever smoke one of these 90s, 90 gauge, oh, I didn't even say the name of it. From Room 101, it is the Payback cigar. Got a cigar sampler pack again from Cigars Daily. This is one of the cigars in there. I figured what better time to smoke a huge cigar that's going to take me hours than on Christmas. We're getting ready to deep fry a turkey. Kids are playing with games and video games and books and all that fun stuff. So Dad's sneaking out here to shoot a quick little Christmas / marriage advice video. What are we drinking? Let's not in the Christmas spirit. The Krampus Bock, German style Bock lager. I don't mind Bocks. And you guys are, and I stole my daughter's boba glass because it's just what you do. If you guys don't know the legend of Krampus, Krampus was this bean that would punish sort of bad boys so they could still get presents from Santa, and would kidnap the really bad boys so they'd miss out on Christmas. That is nice brown beer. That looks good. Some people view Krampus as the bad guy, but actually he works in league with Santa. That way when Santa comes, he knows who's the good boys and who's the bad boys. If they're left in bed, they're good. Give them a present and move on. If they're not there, they were bad. Kind of a fun little story if you ever look up Krampus. Sometimes I think he's typecast as a bad guy, but technically not necessarily a bad guy. So tonight's video, kind of a special one. I debated whether or not to make this officially the part of the marriage series, the wedding advice, the marriage advice. But one, it's my choice. I chose yes. Two, I'm going to be taking about 7 weeks off of the marriage videos. I really do want to dive into the sideshow cigars and get back to war stories. Like I said in a previous video, I had 56 war story videos that I put on a playlist. And I'm really impressed there's that many. But then I was watching a few, reviewing a few, and realized I still have a lot more war stories to go over. So get ready, cats and kittens. We're bringing back the War Story series. A special 7-part series where we smoke the sideshow cigars. 7 to 8. And I'll get into that later. So tonight, or today, holidays, especially Christmas and being married. I did have my family reunion, Christmas reunion, if any of you guys are curious. It went as expected. We had to start it off by introducing cousins to each other because some of them had not actually met some of the cousins. I even had to introduce some of my children to their aunts for the first time because they've never met them in person. So that was awkward and fun, but I already talked about that. Let's move on to just Christmas in general. For me and homeschooling mama, Christmas has been kind of weird. One, working on the ambulance, I worked a lot of Christmases. Tons of them were spent with me on the rig, running calls, taking transfers, covering shifts. So it wasn't uncommon for us to switch the date. That did cause some tension with my family because they couldn't understand why I needed, I'd call them on the 22nd wishing them a Merry Christmas. And I had to explain to them that I'm calling you now because maybe I work. And, we sent an email to Santa and he rescheduled Christmas for me. So it is hard dealing with holidays and being married. What do you focus on? Your previous traditions or make new ones? How do you merge traditions? So we did a lot of merging of traditions when we first got married. My family has this Christmas Eve tradition of eating nothing but junk food, candy, sausages, and cheese, no real food. There are rules to it. When you sit down, you have to, once the prayer is said, no one can get up for any reason. And no one can leave until everybody finishes every last bite on their plate. Little update, our exchange student from Finland did not do great with this tradition. She definitely loaded her plate up and then regretted it. Where my kids kind of know the game, as you say. They knew not to load their plate up with everything. Put one thing on your plate, eat it, then grab something else. We tried to explain that to our exchange student from Finland, but there was a communication barrier. She didn't quite understand the proper etiquette, shall we say, for this tradition. But it went well. We succeeded. Survived the meal, survived opening presents. Santa came today. But we also incorporated some from Homeschooling Mama. Stuff like ordering from Swiss Colony. That was one of her traditions. Her family would order some special treats or cheeses from Swiss Colony. That did not go great this year. We had a hacker actually hack in and cancel our order. Apparently that happened all throughout Swiss Colony's ordering system where people are just getting their orders canceled. So good job, Swiss Colony. And go to hell, hacker. Now, working on the ambulance gave me a perspective on holidays. Many of them are people celebrating more just to be able to get together, and that's sad. I always tell people, especially around Thanksgiving, when people are like, well, don't make people work on Thanksgiving the day after. If you really need a day to come together, like the government to tell you to come together and eat a big meal with your family, that's a you problem. Do you need the government to step in and make you take pause for the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? You don't just acknowledge that throughout the year? That's also really sad. Now, yes, the day is important for stuff like Christmas and Easter. But if that's the only time you ever focus on those events and focus on family, I only focus on family when Christmas comes. Horrifying. These moments are great reminders, but each of them is something that should be celebrated throughout the year. It should be something that you revisit constantly. It should be something that you remind yourself of. If the only time you celebrate with your spouse and family one of these very significant events or meaningful concepts is when the government tells you to, yeesh, that's not good, brother. That's not good at all. Stuff like celebrating Thanksgiving, being thankful for what we have, is something you should do on a regular basis. Celebrating the birth of Jesus is something that you should recognize and celebrate constantly. Because it's an amazing thing. It shouldn't just be something you think about or celebrate once a year. His death and resurrection. Again, most people just view that as a time to get together with family and search for baskets in the or Easter eggs or Easter baskets search around the house. Great traditions, don't get me wrong. Fun times, but if that's the only time you actually acknowledge that miracle, oof, there's something up. There's something you need to look a little deeper on. So I'm more about, yeah, definitely form traditions. You and your spouse, form them together, live them together. But kind of ask yourself, what do those traditions mean with the grand scheme of everything else? Is it just for us to go through the motions because we were told to, or is it for us to deepen our relationship with each other and celebrate the true meaning of that holiday? I'll be honest, we have Thanksgiving dinner multiple times a year. We talk about God and Jesus and the miracle of his birth and resurrection more than just twice a year. So as you go through and you are with your spouse, do combine your traditions. You don't have to have one do one and one not get to do theirs, or we do your tradition once a year, we do his tradition, every other year. Combine them. You are one after all. Put them together. But I challenge you to look a little deeper, to really ask yourself, well, is this tradition have meaning, or is it just meaningless? Are we just doing this once a year because the government or the church tells you to? If the answer is yes, I dare to ask, what else are you doing just because government or society tells you to in your relationship? Do you only take your wife out on a date when Valentine's Day comes around? You don't celebrate your love throughout the year? What other things are just because society says you have to? Are there places in your relationship that you should celebrate these holidays on a more frequent basis? Even stuff like birthdays. Celebrate your spouse's birthday more than just once a year. Thank them for being born. I know it sounds kind of cliche, kind of weird, but that's where we're at with this. If you ever get to the point where in your relationship you are going through the motions, you're doing it because society says so or because the government says so, and really doing the bare minimum, what are you doing? If you really need someone else to tell you how to appreciate and respect your partner, full stop. Reevaluate, readjust. Find another way, find a better way, improve upon it. Realize that you shouldn't need these reminders on a calendar to celebrate the truly important things and to enjoy the truly important things in life. So take this time in Christmas to ask yourself, do your traditions reinforce your relationship? Or are they just to appease someone else? Are they truly there to better your relationship with your spouse and your immediate family, your children? Or are they there because, well, grandma told us we had to? Grandma's not the one running your life. The government's not the one running your life. You should be. You should be in charge of all that and taking command. So if you come to this situation where you're doing it because someone told you, readjust and do it because you want to. You need to. You have to. And do it more than once a year. Hell, even celebrate your anniversary. I'm doing it over 20 weeks by recording these videos. Celebrating the woman who I fell deeply in love with and I ended up marrying. I don't need a calendar, a mark on the calendar to tell me to celebrate the woman I love and the woman who gave me my children. I try to do that every day. Again, don't let the calendar tell you what to do. You do you. And you do it every day, despite what that calendar says. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go smoke a really big cigar. Probably watch a couple of movies, actually. Maybe call some friends, wish them some Merry Christmas. So, yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.